So my Regal movie subscription has ended. Like it ended a couple of days ago, and the last movie I saw with my free ticket was Dune. And basically, how the subscription service works is that every month you pay $21. Sometimes it's more depending on the area, but typically it's around $20. And you can see as many movies as you want. So if you go to see, like, typically movie tickets are anywhere between $9 to $12 depending on what time you go. So if you see 3 films a month, then you get more than your money's worth. And typically that's what I was doing. That's what I've always done. Is my goal was always to see 3 films every month. Sometimes I would go see 4, 5, or 6. And I have been adamant that the film experience is meant to be done in theaters. That when you see a film for the first time, that you should go to the theater and support the theater. And more recently, I've come closer to the dark side, so to speak. I've spoken out against, streaming services, or like kind of what HBO Max is doing, where you can see Dune or Matrix on the day it comes out. You can go on to HBO Max and see it through your subscription. And it's not like I didn't understand why people were doing it before, and I almost saw it as kind of a blessing in disguise at the time, because I thought, well, maybe now the people that would be more prone to talk during the movie or make noise will stay home because of the convenience. And while we had big crowds for when I saw Dune, Shang-Chi, and Halloween Kills had a ginormous crowd, probably the biggest crowd I've been a part of since Avengers Endgame. And that's great for the film, for the movie theaters. However, each time I go and I see there's a lot of people, I just get all sorts of anxious, because I'm like, this is more potential for noise. For me, heaven on earth is being like in a theater by myself, but I know that the movie theater doesn't make money off of just me being there. And I've always been conflicted on which is better or which is my preferred thing. And for years I've been, the theater, that's my place. But I've noticed more things that are flawed in the experience now that I don't know, I guess maybe I've been more open to hearing what other people have said about the experience, because I notice all the advertising. I think that's the biggest thing, is the advertising that goes on. It's like, you pay $9 to $12 for a movie ticket, but yet before you see the film, you see ads for like Coke, Pepsi, food products. Life Water has a ad that I've seen a lot over the past year, and it's a really cringy ad, and I have to see it every time I go to the movie theaters. Whereas if I was watching something on, say, Hulu, I could just mute the TV and go to the bathroom while I'm waiting for the commercials to finish. It's like watching live TV like I did when I was a kid. Or if you watch a film on DVD, you can straight up just fast forward through the trailers and advertisements. Trailers I don't mind so much seeing in theaters, because there are some films that I would never have heard of had I not seen the preview for it. Now, for films like the Batman, Eternals, and Jackass is probably the one I've seen the most of. It's like I already know about those movies, and I saw the trailers at home, and while it's cool, like I got legitimate goosebumps seeing the trailer for Matrix Resurrections on the big screen. I'm very excited for that film, and it's next to Dune. It was my most anticipated film of the year, and I can understand why people might have a problem with trailers, because a lot of trailers do give away the entire plot. There was a film I saw a trailer for, and it was like a romantic comedy, and I felt like I saw the entire movie. It's like, why would I bother going to the theater? Where at least with the Batman and Matrix Resurrections, you at least you get an idea of the plot, but like all the mysteries aren't revealed. And I my brother especially really hates trailers, and I get it because I hate trailers that give away everything. Like I think that trailers should be a lot more obscure or should show just a really small part of the film, whereas like yeah, you know, it's like when I saw the trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, I felt like I watched the entire movies, and when I eventually got to watch those movies, there was no surprises. Yes, those are based off of real life people, but I don't know every single fact about Elton John or Freddie Mercury, and I knew that they were going to take some liberties, but it's like all those liberties were spoiled in the trailer, so it's like the movie experience for me wasn't that magical. So, what about watching movies at home? Now, I will say, I think if I had just a regular TV, I would still prefer the theater experience because I've gone out of my way to create a theater experience at home. Like, my apartment is basically a glorified man cave. It's very much, it reminds me of the basement I grew up with. You know, my parents had a giant big screen TV, and I went even a step further beyond that. I got a projector because projectors are cheaper. And while I can't recreate the sound experience, and even if I could, I would have to dial back on it because I've got neighbors, but I have a gigantic screen. And in a minute here, I'm going to kind of show you what my process for watching films at home is, because I try to recreate the experience to the best of my ability, unless it's a movie like Commando where I've seen 1,000 times and I'm cool with just leaving my phone on and just sort of having it on in the background. Like I enjoy those kind of movies experiences too. But if I'm watching something special like Suspiria or The Shining, or if I'm watching something for the first time, I'll silence my phone and I will not be distracted. And the plus is that I can pause and go to the bathroom, or I can make myself something to eat at the halfway mark or whatever. Granted, I guess I know that with the movie theater experience that you're supposed to give up partial control, and that's part of it. But I wish with like 2 to 3 hour films or longer that there would be an intermission part, sort of like what Lawrence of Arabia did or Gone with the Wind. And I think in a way that would almost be a moneymaker for theaters if they gave like a 10 or 15 minute intermission where people could go to the bathroom and maybe even buy snacks. And that maybe that would be a way to offset advertisements. Or maybe advertisements should be just before the film. Like because typically what happens now is, like, let's say Dune started at 7 last night when I went to go see it. And there were advertisements before that time, which I'm totally fine with. But it's like, once it's time to show the trailers, there shouldn't be ads for like food and other social and political stuff, which are my least favorite things to see at the movie theater because I'm trying to get away from that sort of thing. But I think that is something to consider. And it's not like I expect, you know, Regal or IMAX to see this video and be like, you know what, we're definitely going to change that. I think the only way that I could hope to change that is to get involved with the theater experience myself. But it's just a thought. Like, it's just a thought. Like, I would just love to not have to see a Pepsi advertisement when the movie is supposed to have started at 7. You know, advertise all you want for the people that show up 15 or 20 minutes early. But I don't know. It's just frustrating, and I'm going to be thinking about this for days. And this is the kind of places that my mind goes too. And you know, I know I'm going to be thinking about this while I'm working tonight as well. You know, while my coworkers are complaining about each other, or they're complaining about lack of tips, or the fact that we're slow, or they'll be complaining because we're too busy. I'll be thinking about movie theater stuff because that's what I really care about. Like arbitrary stuff that's just things that don't really matter to me. I don't really like waste my time with. But this is something like very special and close to my heart. And I don't know. It's just more recently I think that the theater experience has been more stressful, and it's not like that there has been any bad instances. I think that actually since the pandemic started and going back to the theater experience, audiences have been more respectful. Like I haven't had a bad audience experience since theaters have been reopened, and I can't recall exactly when that was, but it really hasn't been that bad. I think it's just the anticipation of things going bad, and then, like I said, all the ads and the trailers, and built in with the inconvenience, I've been more privy to that. Like I understand why, for example, my parents don't go to the theater anymore. Like I don't if I remember right, there's a lot of the bigger films, like even the Marvel movies, that they would rather watch at home, and there are certainly other people that are doing that too. And I know that not everybody has a projector or an expensive TV, you know, a 4K TV, a really big 4K TV, to get as close to the theater experience as they can. And I just, it makes me sad to think that, you know, that somebody somewhere is watching a movie like Tenet or Dune, and they're like on Facebook at the same time. Like, I would encourage you to, when you're watching a show or a movie for at least the first time, experiment turning your phone off. Like, pretend like you're at the movie theater and there's a bunch of people around you that you don't want to disturb. And in a way, my feeling has always been that I want to respect the artist, because I want to be in the filmmaking too, and I would love for people that would see my films for the first time to pay attention, because I have something to say. And I get that not every movie has something to say. Like I mentioned earlier, Commando isn't a movie that really has anything to say. That's an entertainment movie. But there are certainly movies that do both. And I think if it's a film that you know, like, really intimately, and you're like, this is just a silly film that I like to have in the background, then, you know, I think my suggestion of turning off your phone and disconnecting from the internet and everybody around you, you can probably ignore that. But I think that if you're watching a film like Inception for the fifth or 10th time, or especially the first time, I think that maybe you should offer your attention to that film, because I think Christopher Nolan is one of those filmmakers that wants you to experience the film, because each time I watch a film like Inception, I pick up on something new, and I probably wouldn't do that if I was texting with somebody on my phone or looking at the latest news about Trump or Joe Biden on my phone while watching Inception. I would have missed something new perhaps. And I don't know what the purpose of this video is, to be totally honest. I don't know. It's just something I really need to get off my chest, and I don't get to make this sort of discussion with a lot of people. So in a weird way, like, YouTube is my soapbox, for film and art, and a way for me to connect to people in a way that I don't normally get to do, because I don't know, so I don't get to really discuss this sort of thing with a lot of people sometimes, and it's just sad. Maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe people care more than I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes. But I want to walk you through my little home process. This is a little silly, but basically what I'll do is I'll turn the projector on. I'll take off the lens cap, clean it if need be. Then I will either put in the DVD or Blu-ray, my preferred way to watch a movie. If I can get it only on streaming, I'll watch it on Roku, which the Roku's cool too. I've definitely softened when it comes to streaming stuff. There's a lot of really good films on streaming. Then once I've got all that set up, I'll turn off the lights. I'm not gonna do that now because that way you can still see me. But I'll sit back, turn off my phone, put it somewhere where I can't reach it, like on a shelf over here, or I'll even put it in the next room, so that way I'm not tempted to turn it back on and text somebody. But yeah, it's just something I would recommend. Like if you're watching a film for the first time, turn off your damn phone. Disconnect. Instagram and Facebook can live without you for 2 hours. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right, so this is what I mean when I say I've like done my best to recreate the theater experience. Like this whole screen takes up this entire wall. Like it's huge, and it's by far the best idea I've ever had. And projectors really aren't a bad experience. I used to have one that I spent like $75 on, and the picture quality wasn't as good as this one. This one I bought for about $250, but that's still cheaper than most TVs. The only thing that you're going to want to do is get like really good speakers, because the built-in speakers for most projectors are pretty bad. But other than that, I mean, this is my bread and butter. This is what I like to watch films on. So comment below, let me know what your thoughts about all this is. I'd be curious to see what you think, and to see if this is just me, like if I'm just if I'm just crazy and I'm the only one that feels this way about this sort of thing. But thanks for listening and for indulging me for a bit. Take care.